G'day, legends. Welcome to the Pot Noodle. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me tonight are Shane and Liam. How you going, Liam?
Good, mate. My face has recovered from last week, thankfully. Ironically enough, a week ago, I got deep fried by the sun. On the way home today, I got absolutely bloody soaked by a torrential downpour. So there you go.
There you go. Mother Nature's playing games on you. How you going, Shane?
Yeah, good, mate. Really good. Just getting the Ks up for our respective walks for Mental Health Month in October and 1 Foot Forward. So I've been out and about a fair bit over the last week and a bit, just trying to get my Ks up. But also reveling in the news that should come out hopefully tomorrow at 8 a.m. that the Oasis Juggernaut is going to actually make its way to Australia next year, and I cannot wait.
Okay, we will lose Shane when that happens. He won't be cited for about 3 weeks on the podcast, and that's to be expected. I was actually going to say to you, how's the 1 Foot Forward fundraiser stuff going for you boys? Like, you're clocking up the Ks pretty comfortably. I know from my point of view, I'm ahead of where I thought I'd be, and the feet are absolutely killing me. Like, give us a day off, would you? So it's great fun. How you going with it all, Liam?
I'm just checking my thing here. Give me a wee second. So as of today, I've done 168 kilometers, and I've still got to add 13 kilometers on from today. So tomorrow I'll probably pass 200.
Far out, man. Already. Jeez, I feel bad now. About yourself?
Yeah, I'm sitting at about 36k at the moment, so just trying to chug along. I think I'd worked it out to needing to do about 40k a week to get to my goal, so I'm definitely trying to meet that as much as I can.
Yeah, for me, I'm looking at going, if I do 5k a day, I'll get there comfortably. So that's the way I'm breaking it down. I don't want to overdo it like I did last year and then end up almost getting what they call a hot spot in my foot for the last week of it, because I'd almost stress fractured my foot doing too much too soon. Good fun, but it's for charity.
Yep, that's a great cause, and obviously you're the catalyst behind it too, Jared. And speaking to a few people in the week, just trying to get them involved in it. I really like doing this. It's something that we do as a collective, and it makes a really tangible difference to people's lives and helping raise funds for a really important cause. So I'm really happy to do it, but you're the catalyst behind it. So I just wanted to personally say thanks for having us back on board with it again this year, mate.
It's not about me, mate. It's about raising funds for a charity. And yeah, I just look at it and go, we do our little bit in any way we can. And yeah, I just quickly calculated mine. I'm at like 42 Ks with today to add, so I'm a bit ahead, which is good to see. So yeah, we'll get onto the game from the weekend, I suppose. Normally I'd go, since we weren't on last week, do you want to talk about the Dortmund game? But no, that's gone. That's been put in the box, buried in the backyard, whatever, thrown in the bin, whatever it is. So
just watch the greenhouse scene from Scum. I mean, it's as impactful and probably a decent approximation of what happened. Anyway, moving on.
Yep. So game against Ross County on the weekend. So last night, what a weird game that was. I think you said in the group chat, Shane, it was a game of two halves, but really it was 60 minutes and then a 30-minute game. That's the way I look at it. Like, realistically, the starting lineup that we went with, I thought was more than capable of coming out with a big win. So yeah, it's Schmeichel in goals, Via, Scales, Trusty, Johnson, Hatade, McGregor, and Engels in the midfield. Up front was Ida with Kun and Mader. And I thought, oh yeah, with that lineup there, a bit of rotation. Yeah, I was expecting to probably win 4 or 5 goals quite comfortably. I will give credit where it's due to them. They have a couple of defenders there who are quite large people and were positioning themselves well. So they weren't actually doing it from football. They were doing it more from, knowing where to be on the pitch at certain points and intercepting the ball more than anything, in my opinion. So, yeah, I thought they did pretty well. But, yeah, Shane, what was your thoughts on the game overall, the first half?
Geez, it's a bit of a tough watch, that's for sure. really, really sort of dire to watch first 45. I'll give them kudos as well. I thought they defended pretty well. I know it's not exactly in a manner that makes it enjoyable to watch. And if you had a lot of people who are, I guess, casual observers of the game or just tuning in, you weren't going to keep them with that game because that was a really difficult one to kind of process. But they defended really well. They made it very difficult for us to play. We had no rhythm in the first half at all. Everything was disjointed. Everything was laboured. We had to be very patient. They got numbers behind the ball as much as they could, and they sat as deep as they could. You could see they were trying to do things to try and create a bit of space. Ida was dropping into midfield a bit to try and generate that space and take one of the centre halves. They wouldn't go. They wouldn't budge. They'd just sit in their lines. They'd sort of have their rows of 4, basically, and they'd stick to it. And they were getting numbers behind the ball all the time, and we found it really difficult to actually be creative. That we had moments. Maeda had a couple of moments, but the final ball just wasn't there. That link up in the final third was missing. There was no cohesion. And I was thinking if we could just get to halftime at 0-0, I'd probably take that on the basis of the lack of chances we created. But unfortunately, it didn't pan out that way.
Yeah, it was a bit of a disjointed game. Like, probably the easiest way to sum it up. I'll bring up a few comments and then we'll come to you there, Liam. So we're past the 5-minute mark, so we're safe. So Robert Gibson, just want to say that game was absolute dog shit. I'm a little shocked that, he didn't mention Palmer being a wanker as his first message of the episode. It's like one of the highlights every week now. So Andrew Galea has made this point, Liam. So Ross County showed good shape, good defensive shape. Their midfielders protected areas like what we should do in Europe. Couldn't agree with that any more than it's written there. That's a spot on take. What's your thoughts there, Liam? And then
that's I mean, I made a kind of similar comment to my dad the other day when we were watching the game. I says, rewatch highlights of the St Johnstone game from last week. I said, that is St Johnstone fans must feel when they play Celtic the way we feel when we play Dortmund. And I think the same thing applies to Ross County. It's like they know how to approach teams like us and almost get something out of it. But here's the thing, right? Here's where I'm going to disagree with that. I'll take a 7-1 doing if we go down swinging. I would rather get a 7-1 shagging in Europe, where I past 5 minutes, we're safe, than play defensively and bore the arse off of everybody who's watching it. So Ross County did what they had to do. I don't hold it against them, but it's absolutely horrid to watch for the neutral. So I really don't think it's a good advert for Scottish football. And it's a reason why we routinely get our butts handed to us in Europe, because we are not prepared for when teams come at us. I mean, look at Falkirk a couple of weeks ago in the Cup. Hardest game we've had all season because they actually came out and had a go, despite their obvious limitations as a championship club, but I think soon to be Premier League club.
Well, on that, Liam, like that makes perfect sense in a way. Like, what would you rather? Dortmund, the quality they have in their squad, not just their squad, but on their bench, and then that they lost the Champions League final last year and you're playing them at home. So realistically, even if we sat back, it's not like in the Neil Lennon first stint where you could sit back the way we did against Barcelona and just absorb all the pressure and then hit a couple on the counter, right? Even when we were parking the bus and Lenny in his second stint, if Ange didn't do it, so I've got to go back to that point. But even when we were doing that, we were still copping 4 or 5 goals in some games. So there's no guarantee that if we were to park the bus and do that, they're not gonna put a bunch of goals past us anyway. So I can understand your point of view there, Liam, about doing that. But I do understand the point as well from Andrew, where he was saying, I think it was Andrew's one there, where he's saying that midfielders protected areas like we should do. The idea in principle, yes, we should do it, but within our system and within our concept of how we play. Like, you can be a bit more pragmatic and go, in this area in Europe, our midfielder will press up, but in the league will press up, but in Europe, hold back a little bit and let's keep our shape and let's press the guys once they cross the halfway line. instead of once they're, because you can't be offside in your own half. So let's wait till they're over halfway. It's old basketball thing, a half court trap sort of thing, a halfway trap. Once they're over, press them. If they turn it over, you can't be offside. Just knock the ball in and try and get out, use our speed guys to get open. So it's a combination of how we currently play and what we're doing compared to that. There's a way to, you can do what Andrew's saying, but also what you're doing, Liam, and and it still is decent. So
Yeah,
I'll let
and
Sean jump in.
the point being raised in the comment didn't actually land a glove on Dortmund, so we didn't really, we didn't follow through on what I've said anyway. So
there needs to be a happy medium. That's pretty much the crux of what we're getting at here. We need to find a way where we're a bit more pragmatic and not so tactically naive in Europe, and be a bit more sound defensively, whilst also being able to create and actually generate attacks where we need to, right? So I can definitely take a little bit of what we saw last night, because they did frustrate us and it made it very difficult for us to play. And to their credit, they had a go at us in the first half. They had at least a couple of chances where they drew a few saves. They did try and get forward on the break where they could. It wasn't pretty to watch, but I don't think they were completely, everyone behind the ball like we've seen at Livy in the past, and just completely play out for a draw. They did come and have a go when the openings were there. So I think we can definitely take some things from that and look at how do we apply this in Europe in terms of our shape and being much more defensively minded, whilst also, as you said, Liam, still being able to have a go where we need to.
Yeah.
Well, the comments here, I'll bring this up for a little bit. So McLaughlin's saying Strachan had to stifle Man United somehow that night. Naka scored the free kick. Andrew's saying at least get midfielders behind the ball and take your chances on the break, like we were just saying. And then McLaughlin follows up saying we played Milan 4 times under Strachan. We won 1, lost 1, drew 2. So, look, it's one of those things where I can understand what people are saying, 100% get it. So I think we'll park that one to the side there, and we'll get back into the Ross County game a little bit there. So, Liam, I want to ask you straight up, being a former goalkeeper, how good was Kasper Schmeichel's shithousery when, the penalties being given, he's up on the spot digging at it, doing all sorts of stuff. How good was that? What sort of gamesmanship? What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, that is what I love to see, and I was very, very pleased with that. In saying that though, it was clearly a retake. It was about 3 feet off his line when the ball got struck. Wee bit overzealous for Big Casper there, but we'll forgive him that.
Normally, I'd say
Look,
controversial
he's
moments.
proving to be every bit the leader that Joe Hart was, and he's actually in some.
You're freezing there, Liam, so continue.
Oh, hang on, I've frozen.
All right, so I'll continue so it's not dead air for the people on the listening to it, listening in, while Liam figures out what's going on. But yeah, for me, it was one where normally you'd look at it and you'd be like, oh, like I'd say controversial moments, all the penalty and the retake. And then when you see the replay, it was clear as day. It was like Casper daylight the line where he should have had at least 1 foot on it. And I saw people online saying last week that, Butland, if you look at him, he was off the line for a penalty last week. Nah, mate, his foot was still over the line. So it's a completely different thing. So, yeah, what is your thoughts on the penalty, Shane? Liam Scales having his hand in the most ridiculous. He was doing like a walk like an Egyptian hands or something while trying to defend. What was your thoughts on that whole penalty?
He looked so guilty too when they cut away, and it was Kevin Clancy, I think, was reffing the game. He went to the vision and he just looked so guilty. Like, he has no poker face at all. It was a clear pen. We've seen that given all season. We saw that go in our favour against the Hearts player a few weeks ago. It's clear pen. His arms away from his body. It's out. Stops the trajectory of the ball. Sign it down. Get the spot kick done. It was a real pity though about the save, because it was a massive save and it felt like a bit of a momentum shift. I know it was just before half time, but we'd had a really pretty poor first half by our standards, and it would have just been the right thing to go into the sheds with at halftime and a bit of momentum. And it was funny watching it live, seeing obviously Kevin say, "Look, you got to take it again," and a little bit of conjecture, and Casper seemed pretty pretty perturbed by it all. I thought, oh, I wonder how bad this is. I wonder if he's just got his back foot on the line. And they showed the footage and thought, oh, look, I can't defend that one. Sorry, Casper. That's a retake, bud.
Yeah.
And then he started to do the movement on the line, which you can't do anymore. The old Andrew Redmayne special. He started to sort of give that impression. I thought, don't do that. They'll retake it again. But no, he tried, but it was a pity. Such a pity that it got overturned and they had to take it again.
So we've got some comments here. Vinny's saying Casper was definitely pot noodle and around, boys. McLaughlin's, as long as the keeper's not spitting on the ball or spitting on over the ball, I'm okay with mind games. Andrew Galea, the linesman should have seen Casper dig in the penalty spot and got him a yellow. Pete McGee saying it's a stonewall and no complaints, 100%.
Yeah.
Michael Ross, trip to Aberdeen will be a big test. And we'll come to that comment later on about the Kun second yellow thing later in the episode, later on when we've gone through the game. But yeah, it was overall, Liam, you were saying about Casper and Joe Hart and the leadership. That's where you cut out. So do you remember where you were going with that tangent?
I was just saying that he's showing all the leadership qualities that Joe Hart did, but he's actually offering a bit more in some ways as well. I think he's a slightly better goalkeeper all round, and that's a whole new level of shithousery that you wouldn't get from Joe Hart. So sometimes you've got to play dirty, and Casper showed he's no afraid to do that, and I like that.
And we look at Joe Hart, his penalty record, pretty rubbish, right? So I don't mind Casper doing a little bit of silly stuff around here, but we figure it all out. So what I want to talk about next is, so at halftime, there's been talk of like Rodgers giving him a bit of a rocket, a bit of a spray. Honestly, if you're at halftime, how much of that are you putting on the players? Just being, done a lot of travel off the back of Champions League, the European hangover. How much are you putting it on? Just being disjointed because we're constantly turning over and changing our lineup game after game after game after game, and not having any consistency for a run of 6-7 games. What are you thinking is more the bigger issue there, Liam?
I just think it was a combination of things. Ross County is a difficult game anyway. Coming off the back of a rough week and some squad rotation, some players still finding their feet. I mean, that was only Trustees, second or third start? Third start? Aye. I think that there was just a bit of the team wasn't as balanced as it has been recently. Ross County did a very good job of nullifying us, but we showed we have the depth and the quality that when it mattered, second half, we brought on the right personnel, we made the changes, and we got the win. So I think, on one hand, not a good performance first half. On second half, an excellent tactical schooling from Brendan Rodgers. So
yeah, I kind of agree with you there. It's going from Dortmund to Dingwall. Yes, we look weary. What?
Just that could have been the episode title.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty good one actually. Going from Dortmund to Dingwall, it's a lot of travel. It's a lot of, so shout out to all the fans who did the double as well as the players who travelled over to Germany, watched the game, travelled back, went up to the Highlands. Top effort. So I can understand all that. In the comments, someone was like, Maida doesn't seem affected by travel. Maida has like 18 18 lungs or something like that. He's just a whole different beast. So, but we were saying we looked a little bit disjointed there, Liam. And the thing for me is, I think the middle of the park is the main cause of that at the moment. Yeah, the back line, Carter Vickers coming out, Taylor being injured, whatever. We've got some depth there. We're doing okay. The thing for me is the middle of the park is the biggest concern because Calmac has to start. You've got our club record signing coming in the midfield replacing Matt O'Reilly, so it seems like he has to play. But what I've found is Hatade tends to work better when he's got Bernardo alongside him at the moment because they've played more games together. So if you do that, are you going to drop Engels? Can't see Rogers doing that. So it's just an awkward situation. You've got 4 players there and they're just not gelling very well at the moment. What do you think, Shane?
Well, I think that is the situation because getting what you were sort of mentioning before about whether it was the travel or whether it was just the tactical side of things and the change up of the squad, I think it was a mixture of both. We definitely looked very flat in the first half and initially as we came out in the second half, we didn't have a lot of energy. And so you can kind of attribute that to the travel a little bit, I think. But then you look at the swaps that were made on the 60th minute. You know, I think we'd actually started to shift the game just prior to that anyway. We'll come to that shortly. But those changes help maximize that shift in momentum. And we looked a completely different team in that last 30 minutes. And so then you sort of look at it and go, well, did that energy just come out of thin air or was it much more about the personnel we had on the park? So I think it's a mixture of both. I definitely think we need to find that right balance in midfield. I think it's going to change from game to game. I don't think we're going to settle on a consistent 3 at this stage. I think there are going to be times where Hatate is preferred to Bernardo. But then, as you said, he plays really well with Bernardo. So then you drop Engels. I think we're going to be working with that mixture for a little bit. And I don't see us settling on a consistent 3 at this stage.
It's just strange though, Shane, because as some of the comments are saying here, like Andrew Galea is saying, Hatade teams up better with Taylor, Maeda, and Kyogo. So that 4 work well together. Then you've got Hatade seems to work well with Bernardo in the middle of the park. But then you look at the right, and until this game in particular, you'd have a look on the right, and it's Kun, Johnson, and Engels has been linking up really well. So it's just one of those ones where I think McLaughlin's got the point here. Maybe Brendan doesn't know the best combination himself yet. That's more than likely what it is. So,
and I've buried the lead. I've forgotten all about someone who I no doubt will wax lyrical about later, Luke McCowan.
we're coming to him.
Yeah. It's like I've forgotten, like he can very much stake a claim to being included in that rotation, right? And potentially starting.
So Pegleg's saying the confidence of the players has taken a big dent after the Dortmund debacle. Look at Engels. We cannot afford another mauling like that. So Pete McGee, and that's why you need 2 players in every position. So Andrew's saying I'd be taking Calmac off 60 minutes at the moment. His form is flat. Me too. Like I think the international break happening and him not playing internationals now is actually going to be good for him to freshen up. But we'll go through some more comments before we roll into it.
I just want to jump into that comment about the Dortmund belting and the effect on Engels. I just want to. I'm probably going to go more on the more cautious side here. We joked about from Dortmund to Dingwall just before, right? But going to Dingwall is never the easiest place to go. And by far and away, Ross County, the way they set up defensively and how consistently good at it they were, is by far and away the best low block we've played all season. It's taken us 7 games before we've even conceded a goal. That's a completely different topic. But they were so much better than a number of other teams who've sat behind the ball. Look at St. Johnston a few weeks ago. And compare chalk and cheese, right? It's very difficult. And that pitch that does not seem like a big pitch when you watch it. Like that seems like a very small, very compact pitch. And it's hard to go from Dortmund to then play on the weekend at Dingwall. And you've literally got nothing but like 10 players sitting in front of you and you've got no space and no way to work. So we struggle with the low block, I know, but I think also this is probably the first low block we've encountered this season that's been effective, and we still managed to win ugly and come out of there with 3 points. I don't think it's awful just yet.
On that, Shane, as well, like, I just got distracted by a comment here. Michael Rice, it's blasphemous, but I'd drop Kelmac. Sorry.
Blasphemy.
But back to what you were saying, though, like, you look at Dortmund, it's a massive field. It's really big and wide and everything, right? And plays to their speed and their technical ability. And then, as you say, you come to Dingwall and it's small and it's pokey and whatever. So you can understand it. But did anyone else struggle to actually watch the game last night when it was on with that old FIFA 96 camera angle from the one just at halfway going like this, watching it? And every time as the ball moved, the camera moved and it was blurry until they stopped the camera. And then you could see, oh, okay, Trusty's got it. Then it's slightly blurry again. Oh, Engels has got it. or was that just my feed? It was pretty bad.
No, it's that it's that camera footage.
Cool.
I had the same conversation with my dad. I said, I think my stream's breaking up. He's like, no, son, that's just the camera.
I was like, am I drunk? No. Am I tired? Am I falling asleep? No, camera. Okay, cool.
Probably more fun if we were.
Yeah, more than likely. So, yeah, let's go through a few of the comments here. So, McLaughlin was saying, it was a terrible game. I'm bitterly disappointed in our 20 million duo. Engels and Eder produced nothing. Pete McGee was saying it was 3 points. That's all. We move on. But what the hell happened to Engels? He was invisible Tuesday and again yesterday. Yet we know the boy is huge talent. I think the international break is coming at the right time for him. RL77 was thought the tackle penalty claim made deserved more scrutiny. Defender was diving in completely off the ground and out of control. Was that the one where the keeper saved it and he went through the back of him, right? That could have been given. If that was us on a Hun, it would have been given. Let's be honest.
Does he? Is that if I'm remembering the right one? Doesn't he nick the ball away as well in that sequence?
So I think that's
not saying not saying that should 100% be on end all, but I'm pretty sure he nicks the ball. And as you said, Jared, that's probably what stopped him from stopped it being checked.
Pete McGee's commenting about the game, saying I struggled to watch it because of the drummer. There we go. Jared saying that. Oh, what a photo!
Wow.
Wow. Look out. That's his Tinder profile picture too, probably. Jared saying that Liam uses the same production company as Ross County.
Do you know, you talk about Tinder. I heard a funny one today. A guy put up, I saw this thing. So this is a guy's profile on Tinder, apparently. He says, I like my women like I like my coffee. Without another guy's dick in it. Anyway, moving on.
This is why I put the drink down before you told it, because I was like, this has the liability for spray to just come straight at the camera then.
Drinks going.
That's what she said.
I apologise on behalf of the podcast for Liam, everybody.
I am sorry. I'm sorry for the poor production values and the poor jokes. I sincerely apologise.
Yeah. So, Shane, do you want to give us a rundown of the second half?
I didn't see any major change in how we started in compared to the way we finished the first half. I thought that we were still really struggling in that first 10 minutes. The catalyst for me was actually the moment where they probably could have and maybe should have gone 2-0 up. And that's when AJ plays that square pass into midfield, gets cut off. Schmeichel's off his line. I can't remember which Ross County player it was, takes a ping and it just goes wide. After that, we seemed to have a bit more energy and all of a sudden we were pinging the ball around a bit better and we had a bit of space to work with. And there were a couple of moments, a couple of chances. Kalmack had a chance that drew a save out of Laidlaw. Obviously, there was that 1-2 between Maeda and Hatate where he probably should have done better in all honesty. But all of a sudden, there was a bit of energy there that we were sorely lacking in the first half. And then we took that to a whole another level with the 3 subs. And I'm going to include all 3 in the impact. So Bernardo, McCowan, and Kyogo, all 3 in their own way were really important and helped shift that game into our control. And from 30 minutes, from the 60 minutes onwards, in that remaining 30 minutes, we looked a completely different team to the one that rolled out for 55 minutes beforehand. So, and that came from probably the discussion we were talking about before, which is finding that midfield balance. The midfield we had on the park didn't really do it for us in that first 45, 55 minutes, but you bring Bernardo on, he looks streets ahead of the game in terms of his movement and his awareness and where he needed to pick up the ball and where he needed to turn. He just looked like he was reading the game well ahead of everybody else. McCowan was an absolute workhorse, and as soon as he got the ball, he was looking forward straight away. I can't remember who in our group chat said it, but they picked up on it immediately, and credit to you, whoever it was. And Kyogo was doing a much better job at hustling and occupying the 2 centre halves. And all of a sudden, they didn't seem to feel the need to just kind of shift and try and follow the ball. They felt much more like they had to follow Kyogo a little bit. All 3 of those subs. Yeah, exactly. All 3 of those subs made a huge difference in terms of what we were trying to do and led to us getting the 3 points.
Yeah, it was like that with Ida. Like they're able to key in on him, put a centre back right on him. With Kyogo's movement, where he comes in into the 10, gets it, plays it, turns, makes runs. They weren't sure. Do we go with him and track him? Do we hold off and keep our line? What do they do? And they just kind of fell apart a little bit there. So, yeah. So I'll go through some comments here about Luke McGowan. So John Clements was saying Luke McGowan thrives in games like this. He's been there, seen there, done it. Engels played for a mid-table team, not used to winning every week. He will learn and grow and realise we win every week. Andrew Galea was McCowan is made for games at the likes of Ross County. And then we've got Andrew who's down here saying McGowan should have started at Dingwall. He's made for these games. The form he's in at the moment, I actually reckon he's our best form midfielder, Luke McGowan. And yeah, he's done real well since coming in. What I want to talk about a little bit, Liam, before we get into the goals and everything, was a couple of comments here. Pete McGee saying this may come back to haunt me, but I think Valle is a bit of a player. And then Maddie's right up with saying it does take time in a new team. Valle will do well. For me, I'm liking what I'm seeing. The more game time he gets, I don't know, there's something about him where, I said we need to have that Alistair Johnson type on the left, who's that athletic guy who can bomb forward, he can get up and down the wing all game, but he's got a bit of ability on the ball. Starting to see that for Valle. You can tell he's come through La Masia over at Barcelona, and he's doing like what he's doing. Bloody hay fever's doing me head in today. So, but yeah, he's coming through, and I just get him, that bit taller than Taylor. He's got the athleticism, and RL70 is saying Valle and Bernardo have a similar drive and determination. I just think that once you got him out there as well, he looked a lot freer once the midfield started to get on top of things as well. And that last 30 minutes, I thought he was the best player on the pitch. He was up and down that. Even though Kun made his impact, McGowan made his impact, Bernardo did, I just thought, my point of view, Valle, once all those guys were on and we got on top in the midfield and he was able to just relax a little bit and play his game, he just looked amazing for me. So long may that continue. Liam, what was your thoughts on the second half?
No, I was just going to say I agree. Valle was our best overall. I think our best player on the day. I think he was excellent. Very different type of player to Greg Taylor, so it's kind of maybe a wee bit hard to judge just based on a couple of appearances. But I think settling in well, give him time, and he will definitely get there. I agree. I like what I'm seeing, and I think there's a lot more to come.
Mahesh's comment is Valle is not big enough or fast enough for Europe. Long term,
none of our players are at the moment. Let's be honest.
Yep, 100%. But long term, is he our backup? Like we have him and Anderson. If you could sign him, you could sign Valle for what, £3 million with his release clause, and just have it done. And then you look at it and go, and then do we have someone over the top come in? because Taylor's like for games you want to invert and overload the midfield. Taylor's good for that. In games where you want to play a bit more traditional and try and play to some width, Vaya's the player for us. So goals, Shane. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, so the first goal, obviously we'd been building up till that point, and I think we'd actually had control of the game up in that point, and corner comes in from the right-hand side. The Ross County defender, I'm pretty sure, flicks it on inadvertently, and Laidlaw, it's actually a really good save from Laidlaw. He has to dig it out of his near post and gets a claw to it, basically. Comes out to Kelmac, who absolutely puts his laces through it. I'm pretty sure I'm correct in saying it was going wide. I know I love to give him the benefit of the doubt, but that looked like that was going wide. And AJ, just in the right space at the right time, nods it in, basically, off his hip, if you will. And I love you, AJ, but I don't think you meant it. Celtic TV were trying to give it to him. They're trying to say, look, he shifted just at the right time and he's moved his hip towards the goal. And I was like, yeah, come on, guys. You're not fooling anybody. He was in the right spot at the right time. And it was a deserved goal nonetheless. But, yeah, it's fortune favors the brave sometimes, right? And Calmac absolutely puts his laces through it, and that causes, obviously, a little bit of havoc. And AJ is just there to hip it in, pelvic thrust it in, maybe.
What's the old saying? Get it in the mixer. So
exactly.
You just blast it in there and see what happened. As Jared's saying, AJ said he was trying to get out of the way. It was like he had one of those goals. I think it was Maida last year, basically balling off his dick. So he had one of them last season. I remember that one. I got some good content on the pod on that out of it. So it's one of them where, he's trying to get out of the way. He's thrusted his leg, moved his leg, and he's thrusted it in, basically.
Well, if he's trying to get out of the way, he did a terrible job, and I'm so glad he was bad at it.
There we go. RS77, ice hockey hip move. Yep, he's just checked it in. Age and same height as KT. There you go. Good point, Pete. So, and it wasn't me for once bringing up KT, just everyone else, Pete McGee this time. I have to point that out. So, yeah, the goal like that, it's sometimes you get better lucky than good. And for me, looking at it, those are the sort of goals that if you're good and you're aggressive and you're playing, you're making attempts, they're the ones that no one remembers that he was trying to get out of the way at the end of the season. But they do remember, I remember when we came from 1 goal down and we scored 2 late goals to win away at Dingwall and keep our margin over Rangers at the top of the league and Aberdeen at the top. These are the ones that those 3 points are very important. Just pick them up, bank them, and on you go. It wasn't a great day at the office, but we got the points. So sometimes you get the ball in the mix, say, better lucky than good. And then the second goal was just absolute magnificent play. So I'll let you have that one, Liam.
Yeah, I mean, Kuhn's goal was a thing of beauty, worthy of winning any game. Interesting because Calmac actually tried something quite similar earlier on in the game and just went wide of the post. So it was nice to see a similar move, but this time it came off. And lovely finish. Should probably get a second yellow card for his celebrations, but don't get me wrong, I'm glad he didn't. He didn't even know he'd been booked. That was a daft one. That was a really daft one, because the thing is, the initial booking, watching it back, it was the referee taking the coward's way out. There was a scuffle between 2 players, Kuhn and one of the Ross County players, and rather than just actually go and look at what happened and see who was at fault, or just have a word with the players, like, right, you yellow card, you yellow card. It's the lazy, cowardly way to approach it, and it's bad refereeing. Things like that make me annoyed that you can't appeal yellow cards, only red cards, because I think both of those players should have their yellow cards wiped out for that, because it was just a referee who couldn't be bothered to do his job.
Well, it wasn't even yellow card worthy celebrating the goal anyway, because they changed the rules. And according to Bobby Madden, who weighed in on it, right, he said that Kevin Clancy was right not to give the player another booking. So Madden's confirmed that the rules have indeed changed. And so basically what they do is the guidance of it now it comes down to it was removed as mandatory caution over a decade ago. Referees' discretion and common sense were asked for. The only consideration being if celebrations cause a safety or security risk. The guidance was if you celebrated with your own fans, you didn't enter the crowd, and there wasn't multiple pitch incursions, this is when the police would expect action. So if there's multiple pitch incursions as a consequence, then no caution would be issued. So couldn't go into the crowd? No, he stopped short. Did a couple of people fall over the fence? Yeah, one did, on top of a security guard who caught him and put him back. So for that reason, letter of the law, he did nothing wrong. He shouldn't have got booked. So where people saying
Bobby Madden said it there, it is straight from the horse's arse. I'm not going to argue with that.
It's a sad state of affairs when I'm referring to a Bobby Madden doing something like that. But yeah, definitely shouldn't have been a second yellow because it's not even like it. So yeah, it's just I thought it was pretty good.
Yep.
I just want to. Oh, jeez, Liam. I just want to touch on the second goal, and just wax lyrical about. I'm going to claim him as our boy Luke McCowan. He's our boy. You heard it here first. Who that whole move starts. So Calmac shifts the ball to AJ. Inch perfect pass out to Kun. Like it's on a platter for him to get it. Doesn't have to break stride, cut inside. But that all happens because there's a ball in the air that drops and McCowan puts himself under it and kills the ball dead and wins the foul. And it all comes from that. And he's able to get into the right spot. He's in a pretty dangerous position because he's back to goal. If he knocks it either side, they might be able to pick it up and actually generate something from it. But he kills it dead, turns, wins the foul, and that's where it all generates from. So I can't help but really enjoy the work that he's doing. And I think he's one of our own now, surely.
I'm just having a laugh here because Craigie White said, never mind KT for me, Luke McGowan starts in front of Hatade. But that's not why I was laughing. I just love that saying. He just said, Shane, he kills it dead. How else are you going to kill something? Every time I hear that, I just laugh.
Softly.
My mum, growing up, school teacher, would have copped a nice backhander for saying something like that.
Well, I'm looking forward to a virtual one.
That actually happened to my dad, and he won't mind me telling this story, in a courtroom. He was doing an industrial accident claim because he'd got electrocuted, right? And seriously, right? their defence, their lawyer, whatever, their hired medical expert said, the shock that Mr. Carrigan received wasn't sufficient to cause a serious injury. And my dad's lawyer just went, Your Honour, just for the benefit of the court, is death regarded as a serious injury?
All right.
Suffice to say, my dad won his case, so
yeah, good. So, player focus, boys. I think we pretty much talked about most of the guys we would normally go through on our player focus anyway, so we'll skip through that unless there's someone that you want to jump off the page. So who was your man of the match, Liam?
Valle. Yep.
Same.
I just thought most complete performance.
Oh, it's close between Valle, but I'm going to lean on AJ. I know he knew nothing about the goal, but he still scored it. And then he put on just the perfect ball for Kun to go and do his magic. And I thought he was relatively solid throughout. Didn't have his usual influence, but was still solid enough. So I go AJ just ahead of Valle.
Yeah, for me, it's Valle. But if he didn't, if he didn't have to retake the penalty, I probably would say Casper because of the shithousery and then saving the penalty. Would have been him. But because he was off his line and off his head thinking that he was in his goals, he doesn't get it. It's definitely Valle. So, now, strange one, international break. Celtic are playing a friendly on Wednesday night, 5:30 a.m. for us over here. It'd be stupid o'clock for you, Liam. What's that, about 3:30 over in Japan against Sligo Rovers?
It's not happening. It's not happening.
I might watch the replay if it's uploaded into the the stream thing. I might watch that a little later. So yeah, we'll forget that there. But what I want to do quickly is I want to talk about international break, because I know you two both like international football, and me, I hate it. It just shits me. Like, give me Celtic. I don't need this like 2-week break. So let's just talk about international football. I'm going to talk about how much I dislike it. The only positive for the international break is that now I can actually watch the Australia games because Graham Arnold is no longer the Australian manager. But other than that, I have zero love for the international football during the season. When it comes to tournaments like a World Cup and the likes, okay, I'm good with that. Shane, what's your thoughts? International football, what are you looking forward to over the break?
Look, I enjoy it. There's definitely times where I pine for watching Celtic or Melbourne Victory instead of watching the national team. But on most occasions, I do enjoy it, and it's a bit of a nice left turn from what's business as usual. I'm like yourself. I'm looking forward to the Socceroos games coming up because we've got a change of manager. We've got Tony Popovic in charge now. I think his style of football is going to be more palatable at a national team level. And more,
thank you, Robert.
More palatable on an international scale where we're not watching it week in, week out. There just seems to already be a bit more vibrancy around the Socceroos team, which campaign has really stuttered in the last couple of months. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how Popper goes in his first game. I love the fact he's picked like 4 or 5 Melbourne Victory players and the first game's in Adelaide. There's a bit of shithousery there that I'm absolutely all here for. But no, looking forward to seeing how Popper gets on with his team and how they set up and play. So, normally I'd be keen to see how they go, but with that change in gaffer, very much an extra interest.
Pete McGee saying, I hate international breaks. Most international football is boring as fuck. Matty is not a fan. Liam. So, Kyogo didn't get called up, right? So we've got Hatate and we have Maeda.
Yeah.
Is Hatate actually going to get a chance to play him? What do you think?
Hatate, I don't know. Maeda will start because he always does. Well, he'll play because he always makes some kind of appearance. But here's the thing. I like international football when I'm watching Japan. 1, Japan have a team that are good to watch. 2, until we get to the later stage of the qualifying, we're always playing against teams that we're going to scud 6 or 7-0. So it's good fun.
Easy.
I said until we get to the later stage of the qualifying. We haven't got to Australia stage yet. You wait, right? Wait your turn.
Haven't run into Australia yet.
But most importantly, right? All the games are live on NHK, like, domestically available TV, free to air. They're on at a reasonable time, usually between 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And, people can get behind it. It's none of this paywalled bullshit that Scotland fans have to put up with. I mean, watching Scotland's bad enough, but having to pay a subscription to watch it, bloody hell. In fairness, Scotland do have players from some of the best teams in Britain and Rangers, so I can see why people would want to watch them, but it's not for me. Sorry, Shane, you go ahead, pal.
I just want to point out to Liam, even though he did try and get out of that comment, that Japan is playing Australia in the next 2-week window, so you can't get away with the comment like that, mate. You tried to get away with it, but I'm like, hang on a sec. I'm pretty sure we've got Japan in like 2 weeks' time.
Last one before the end of the window. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
So Jared's saying in the comments, international football is just another streaming. It's just another streaming service to pay for. Get to fuck.
Yep. Spot on.
Strangelove saying, since I started to identify as a German citizen, international football has taken on a new lease of life. Michael Ross, Robert wishes he was Honduran.
I want to touch very briefly. I won't go into a huge rant about this. I know I'll waffle. I'll try to keep it under wraps. But the comment about the subscription service for international games, it's here too. So we used to have our national team games either home or away on either our primary channels or one of the free-to-air alternative channels that they provide. But, you didn't have to need a subscription for it. But there's been a new deal struck recently which sees the home games. I'm pretty sure the home games are broadcast live on free-to-air, but the away games, so Japan and Australia, for example, is actually on a subscription service. Now, to me, that's back to front. You'd want it the other way around.
God,
You'd want to have people go and attend the game. I don't agree with the subscription service at all. A national team should be on a free-to-air broadcaster everywhere. Simple, no matter what they're playing. You should celebrate involvement and people watching your national team play. But if you are going to go down a subscription path, sure, you'd encourage people to go and attend the games locally and then broadcast the ones they cannot attend easily on free-to-air.
It's basic economics. You don't compete against the gate. Like, would you rather have 30,000 people in Amy Park watching the Socceroos play against Saudi Arabia or something? I think that's coming up as well. Would you rather have a sellout there, 30,000 people there, or if it's a bit cold or windy or whatever, because Melbourne weather's pretty feral, have 14,000 people show up because everyone's watching it at home on free-to-air? It makes no sense. Like, you don't compete against the gate, and then on the international away games, so say if we're playing Japan in Tokyo or Kobe or something like that, or Yokohama, then you put that on the free-to-air because who's paying the money to go over to Japan to watch the Socceroos play? I'm not.
Not this time. Maybe in the future. I'll go and say hi to Liam.
Go have a pot noodle with Liam.
It's legally mandated here, actually, that the games have to be live on terrestrial telly. There's like a list. I think it's a bit like they used to have in the UK. There's like a list of what prescribed events that must be on. So it's it's all this subscription stuff is daft. It really is. All right, I'll stop talking about international football.
Yeah,
okay,
I know.
I got the message.
Sorry, Pete.
I'll stop.
We'll stop now.
Yeah, Pete, put the razor down, son. We've stopped. It's all right. Life's too short. Don't. All right, okay, just calm down.
Yep, 100%. So we'll leave that there. I think from the comments, a lot of people agree with me more than you boys. International football sucks. So, yeah, last thing I wanted to talk about on the pod before we remember, final thoughts, boys. I missed it last week, so I've got one in the chamber ready to go. So get your final thoughts ready. But last thing we want to talk about, we touched on it briefly on last Thursday, Sesh. Celtic to be announced as an Adidas elite club in the new merchandise deal. So, Liam, throw it to you.
Right. First of all, it was the one good thing to come of this might be that we might actually start getting kits that are designed just for Celtic. Because at the moment, pretty much every kit we're getting is a palette swap of someone else's kit. When Adidas dropped all that retro gear last week, people were making jokes about the Jamaican bobsleigh team, right? But here's the thing: see if you look up that hoodie. The exact same hoodie is available on Jamaica's website with a Jamaica badge on it, right? It is literally a palette swap of the Jamaican national team gear.
Oh, I'm going to say it, man. I'm going to say it. Feel the rhythm, feel the ride, get on board. It's bobsled time, cool running.
Yes. Great film.
I've seen that movie 100 times almost. Yeah. Every school holidays growing up, Shane, was on telly, wasn't it?
It was every single time you went to school and you had a substitute teacher and they didn't want to teach you, they'd get the TV out and put Cool Runnings on.
Yep.
But anyway, so that's the one good thing about it. The bad thing is we are going to get the utter piss ripped out of us in terms of like, buy this shirt, buy that shirt, buy this kit, buy that kit. It's just going to be
this training
Real Madrid, I think, had 7 kits out last season. We're going to have the same next year. And
I'm going to say something, Liam. I'll say something, though. We don't have to buy them all. That's one thing I will say. We don't have to buy them all. I know if you're a parent and you got your wee-ins there and they're like, oh, I want that top, I want that jacket, I want this, my friends are going to have it, blah, blah. You're going to cop that. But you don't have to buy them all. That's just my take on it. Like this year's kits, last year there was 2 kits I bought. This year it'll be the same. I don't necessarily need the one that's going to make me look like I'm joining the Ra until I get a balaclava, and then I will need to buy one. But the other 2 tops I want to buy. So it's one of those sort of things. I don't like last season. I bought the black one, the one that looked like a thumbprint. I didn't need to buy that, so I didn't.
Yeah.
But anyway,
No, I mean nobody needs to buy anything, but the thing is, with kids in particular, there's peer pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where I think it's no fair.
And Shane's in kid sizes, so he gets all of them as well.
Well, look. I think it's Liam's pretty much hit all the key points that I had. There's some positives to it. It's nice to be mentioned in the esteemed company. It's also nice to read. Obviously, people acknowledge the fact that our kits sell like absolute hotcakes, and they really do. But then the drawback is that we're going to get inundated with kits and merch and stuff like that. And in some regards, I don't want to say it's preying on people, but they know people are going to buy it. That they wouldn't do this if they didn't think people were going to stump up the cash and buy it, right? So they're definitely going, this is a solid market. Celtic fans love to buy merch. And I put my hand up. I'm one of them, right? I'm not pointing the finger here. And they're looking at that going, well, maybe if we make more kits, they'll buy them. Well, it makes sense, supply and demand, right? So I can see why they're doing it. And I think there are some benefits, but at the same time, if you were sort of in that group of people that were sort of getting a bit frustrated by having 4 kits last season, I reckon that you're going to get a bit frustrated over the next 5 years.
One for the NRL fans, the New Zealand Warriors have about 6 different kits every season. So it's basically you're going to be one of those people. But now what the thing for me that I took from it all is that it's not that most of the clubs that are in the elite tier are there because they're continental European competitive clubs. Like you look at it and you've got Man United, Real Madrid, Juventus, Bayern Munich. Those are 4 of the clubs. They're clubs that are historically win a lot in Europe or win their leagues, right? And there's a bunch of others in there as well. And then there's little old Celtic from Scotland. And why I'm saying little old Celtic is we didn't qualify for it because of what we've done in Europe. We qualified basically just on sheer volume of shirts and merch and everything that us as a support buy. And every time a new shirt comes out, someone on the pod is always like, another shirt, I don't need it, blah, blah, blah. It looks like crap. And then 2 weeks later, they bought it. I don't need those shoes.
It's usually me.
Yeah. or it's Paul or it's Shane. Those are the 3 usual ones. I don't need those shoes, but he bought them anyway. I don't need the hoodie. Then you see Shane on the pod 2 weeks later wearing the hoodie. I don't need whatever. So it's one of them where I just think it's funny because it's like the only reason we're getting into this elite thing is because we are all obsessed with buying stuff because we've got such a distinct outfit and kit that you just want to have it. Like I've got a nice collection of tops going on here that I think I wore maybe once or twice. That's it because I don't know. Most of the time when the games are on, I don't feel like going out to watch a game at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, wearing a football shirt when it's 4 degrees or 5 degrees or whatever. So it's like, yeah, cool, whatever. I'm at home watching the game. So yeah, it's a different story. But anyway, I'm going to use this as a little segue just for a cheap little plug because I can. If you like buying merch, get on to www.celticdownunder.com and support our podcast. If I didn't do this glorious plug right now, I'd be an idiot. Shane's modeling the hoodies. I'm modeling the t-shirt. And I've got pictures of what we are. So we've got green hoodie, white, black, and grey available. And then in the t-shirts, same 3 colors, white, black. There's a green t-shirt too. And then we also have a metal drink bottle. Keep your drinks there. So if you're interested in any of that, get on to CelticDownUnder.com and you can buy it there. And Shane, great modeling job. Have a look at him. Get a load of him. So what we'll do is we'll go to our final thoughts. So you boys ready to go with them? Get your final thoughts, Shane?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just glad I didn't stand up any further.
He's got his hoodie and his jocks on. He's got no pants on.
I'll circle back to what I mentioned at the start of the show. I'm really excited for 8 a.m. tomorrow. I'm literally counting down the hours now to what should be an announcement for Oasis touring Australia next year. It's widely expected they'll do shows in Melbourne and Sydney, but what's been rumoured is a fairly big gap between the shows. So they'll either put extra ones on due to demand or they'll visit a couple of the other states. Looks like they're playing Marvel here in Melbourne, Marvel Stadium, and then Accor Stadium, which is Stadium Australia up in Sydney. And I cannot wait. I've been looking forward to this for a very, very, very long time. So roll on 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Oh, I love the roll on there. Good job. Liam, you have a final thought?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave you with a wee interesting tidbit that I learned this week, which I checked, and this is actually true, right? So, female penguins apparently will offer sex in exchange for nice rocks presented to them. So if you're having a bad day, just remember at least you're not a hooker penguin. Okay. Now,
Is that where
there's a follow-up to this. There is a follow-up to this, right? Because also some female penguins have been observed doing the mating dance, getting the rocks, and then not put penguins on a thing as well. There you go. Wee biology lesson for you.
All right. And my final thought is in the words of Ricky Stewart. Anyone who's an NRL fan will know this. Ashley Kine is a cheating prick. Hooroo. See you next time. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.